Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, to all our viewers on the JobStreet Virtual Career Fair. So, welcome to your Springboard to a Brighter Future webinar. My name is Shireen. I am your host for today, and I would like to say thank you to JobStreet for this opportunity to be able to talk and engage with industry experts and specialists. And the whole intention is to help job seekers out there to understand better the many aspects of different industries and hopefully to secure your dream job. So without further ado, allow me to introduce our two beautiful guests for today, Miss Camily David, who is the Head of Talent Acquisition from Carsome. Hi, Camily.
Hi, Shireen. How are you?
Good, I'm good. Thank you so much for being on board
Thanks.
today. And
Thanks for
together
having
with
us.
Camily, yes, together with Camily, we also have Miss Grace Kwa. She is the Regional Marketing Director for Carsome. Hello, Grace.
Hi, Shireen.
Wonderful. Thank you, ladies, for taking on this opportunity. And I am sure we will have many questions from our viewers to understand more about the exciting world of marketing, moreover, an exciting world in Carsome as well. So
Yeah,
are we ready to begin?
yeah.
Yes.
Looking forward.
Awesome, awesome. All right. So, just wanted to find out a little bit more about both of you. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what do you do at Carsome today? So maybe we can start with Camille first.
Okay, so tell a little bit about myself. I have been in the talent acquisition line for 15 years, and I have come from agency background, and then moved in-house
Mhm.
to e-commerce, right? But during agency background, my expertise were in oil and gas,
Okay.
construction. Yes. And now in Carsome, I manage all throughout Carsome, from tech to digital marketing, to finance, to HR, administrative roles, and also operations.
Wow, that's a whole breadth of all the jobs that could be available, right, to our
Yes.
job seekers out there. All right.
Yeah.
And what about you, Grace?
Right now in Carsome, I'm the regional marketing director, as you introduced myself earlier. So I've had about 14 years of experience now, a mix of different marketing pillars. So I've had experience in the corporate com, believe it or not, in also advertising from a media perspective, from agency, and now jumping over to the client side of business. So um, you would say I have like a end-to-end experience in the marketing multi-pronged function. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. And that's what our viewers want, right? To really understand what this whole in world of marketing, right? This magical world of marketing all about. And I believe it is one of the hottest jobs out there that especially for fresh young graduates and those who are starting out in their careers. All right.
Mm.
So that's what we want to know more about during this session. How did you start your career in marketing?
So I actually graduated in public relations
Hmm.
because one of the reasons why I choose that degree or major rather is because I love writing. But
Ah.
however, after graduating and getting a job in corporate communication, I find that at the end of the day, it's not really my passion. But however, because marketing is, there's so many different pillars on the marketing itself, I decided to then, okay, corporate com does not work for me, but let's try, the other verticals in marketing. So to see what fits. So hence, I've been given the opportunity by like really great bosses and mentors to try out advertising agency, to try out from a media owner perspective, selling media, And you know, at the end of the day, I find that my passion actually lies with advertising agency, because I get a kick out of selling ideas to different multi brands. But after a while, after like 8 to 9 years in advertising, I find that I've kind of stayed stagnant. It's sort of like routine. I got restless. I wanted a challenge. I questioned myself, like, is this what I want to do for the next 5-10 years down the road? So then an opportunity came. It knocked on my door. Is to leave agency and join the client side of business. So it's a single brand, but you oversee everything from end to end, being consumer marketing, digital marketing, how do you talk to your consumers, social media, a bit of PR, everything thrown into the mix. And that was something like, okay, I've not really done that before. So why not, take the bull by the horns and try it out? So I left agency. Everybody went like, oh, you joined the dark side. How can you do that? And all that. It was like quite dramatic. But for my own personal growth, I wanted to take on that challenge, and I went into a telco, and I did marketing for 4 years. So I was very lucky to be given the opportunity. And then I moved on to Carsome, and I've been with Carsome for 2 years now.
Wonderful, wonderful. And thanks for sharing that, because when we start off in our career, we may have graduated in a different field and eventually evolve into something else, right? So I myself graduated in biomedical sciences, but I end up in, sales, marketing, and eventually HR. So in that aspect, right, maybe this question can be directed to Camily. How do you look for suitable candidates for a marketing role, given the fact that not all marketeers come from a marketing background?
It is, if they're not from the marketing background, then it is very much how much they're passionate with marketing itself, right? I think marketing, a lot of it is most of the time creating ideas, right? And so I think how we would select candidates that would be suitable for marketing is if they have a creative mind, if they can come up with creative ideas very quickly, and if they have the fire for that particular, yes.
Okay. Nice, nice. So the first thing that you look for is really the passion and the fire to try and to be creative as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that. And Grace, how did you manage the variations in your different job roles across your career? Because you started out in PR, then after that you went into agency, and I think agency as well, you would have been exposed to the various elements and working with different clients, and then eventually you crossed over and coming to the marketing side. So along the way, perhaps what were the top 3 biggest challenges that you had, and how did you overcome them?
Mainly it's going into a role where you feel you do feel how should I put it, you do feel like challenged, like, oh, you're not an expert in that, you're basically starting from a blank slate, right? But it's also very important to build your network with your colleagues, talk to industry experts, keep yourself up to date, abreast with industry news. What are some of the innovations that are affecting not just the marketing industry itself, but the business where your company is in? So, like for instance, in Carsome, we're in the business of automotive, right? So other than just keeping myself abreast with marketing innovations, I need to know to keep myself up to date about what is going on in the automotive world, not only just on the used car, but also on the new car section. So it's always, trying to keep yourself up to date. Those are some of the challenges, regardless of whatever job that I've been in or whatever roles that I've been in, is to keep myself up to date about what is going on, what is trending. The other is, how quickly can you adapt to the situation? So some people come in, there are some candidates where they are very, they are very comfortable in whatever that is given to them, and they don't want to challenge themselves out of the box. So for me as a marketer, I always feel that it's very, very important to constantly challenge your thinking, your methodology, how you want to deliver your work, your objective out of the box, because that is what makes a good marketer at the end of the day. So it's also constantly talking to the leaders in the company. So regardless, in whatever role I've been in, I've always had very close contacts with the leaders. Don't feel afraid that, just because they are leaders, they are of a different level, you feel that they are unapproachable. You'll be very surprised at how candid they can be, and they actually appreciate having employees that are curious about the business goals. I'm constantly in conversations with the leaders, like, okay, so what are some of the challenges you feel, or what are some of the things, like 6 months ago the business goals were supposed to be ABC, like with whatever that's changing in the environment, has that business goals pivot to something else? Like, what can we do from a marketing perspective? What changes can we apply to support the business objectives? So these are some of the things that I've picked up and carry along throughout all my various roles for the last 14 years. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I love the fact that you said, a marketer needs to be very adaptable in not just looking at trends within the scope that they are in, but also being business-minded and having that affinity towards business orientation and business acumen as well. Because oftentimes, right, marketeers are very protective over their brand equity, their market share, and how should a certain brand image be like. Right. So, what would be some of your advice for potential marketeers out there to be able to work with various stakeholders, right? With sales, with leadership teams, with supply chain, with finance, right? So, what would be some tips there for marketeers to have a successful relationship with all the other stakeholders?
So don't stay in your comfort zone. Don't think that just because maybe finance or operations, those are not within my job scope, I don't understand what is going on. Don't go like, oh, I'm so scared and nervous, so I'm not going to, expand my network to the other colleagues in all these other departments. So for me, I've always find that it's very important to build that relationship and the network with, especially the people that you're going to be working very closely with from other departments, or to at least understand the consumer journey. Because, brand equity, talking to the consumers, there's only so much that you can do on the at the front of or being at the front line. There's so much more that's going at the back that you need to understand. What are some of the frustrations that the consumer go through, that you can work with maybe the operations team or the sales team? Like, maybe they're facing some issues in that consumer journey during the conversion funnel or something like that, right? If you don't have this sort of conversations, if you don't sit down with some of these respective leads or head of departments to understand these issues that they're facing, then you can't really do a complete or a very, very good job as a marketer. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about getting people to know about your brand. It's to, get them curious to want to try or engage with your brand. And then you want to take care of them until all the way where, they become your advocate, where they start talking about your brand to their friends and family. So in order to do that, it's very, very important to, drop whatever nervousness you feel or whatever apprehension you feel. Start just talking to everybody, asking the right questions, like maybe from the sales team, other than just chasing numbers. What are some of the issues that they may face in trying to convince the customer, like maybe in Carsome? How do you convince a customer who is looking at a car, they're interested in buying a used car, but what is stopping them from actually buying it? What are the issues? Let's work on fixing that together. Let's, give them an answer, give them the assurance. What, as a marketer, can do to support that? Mm.
Nice, nice. I love the fact that you talk about being closer to not just the consumer, but also the people who work around the consumers, right? So that's
Mm.
where the core areas can be developed and be adaptable for. My other question would be, it would be really helpful to understand the various pillars in marketing, because marketing is such a big umbrella, right? And
Yeah.
now with there's digital marketing, there's social media marketing, there's so many aspects in that marketing has branched out. So this question is for both Grace and Camille. So firstly is for Grace, right? How does a marketer evolve their marketing career?
Interesting question. So um, the first and foremost is you need to just constantly look out for trends, marketing innovations, what is capturing the customer's attention. Get yourself adapt in using various marketing tools. So like what I mentioned earlier, right? And also what you've mentioned, marketing has like so many different verticals. You can be a specialist, you can be a generalist,
Mm,
but at the end of the day, you do need to know somewhat from an end to end what sort of uh, marketing vertical that is relevant to your consumer or in the industry that you're at, and also how your skill set contributes to the whole entire ecosystem. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, thank you for that, Grace. And Camille, from a talent acquisition side, right? How do you look for the evolution of marketeers, when you look at candidates?
I think Grace has pretty much answered that question,
Mm-hmm.
all of it. But yes, um, somebody that is willing to learn and grow is the
Mm,
first thing, right?
mm,
But Grace has pretty much answered all of that. But always eager to learn, eager
mm.
to learn new things and grow from there. That
Yeah,
would be the first thing. Yeah. So
okay,
it's more towards the personality
okay, okay.
and drive
Then,
for development. Mhm.
okay, all right. Then maybe my HR question for you would be, how could the job seekers figure out which area would be suitable for them, right? So maybe you have a candidate that comes to you that has no marketing background and would like to apply for a marketing role, right? So how could this candidate convince you to give him or her an opportunity?
That's also a very interesting question. How to give a candidate an opportunity in the marketing role
Mm,
um, without the experience?
yeah.
Yeah. Um, Again, this is also personality. Again, it's
Mm,
also based on their interests, right?
yeah.
Again, like you have mentioned, marketing has a lot of pillars.
Mm,
We in Carsome itself have many marketing pillars,
mm,
right? So, for example, if you're talking about a fresh grad who wants to
yeah.
join the marketing team, um, I think it will be based on the hiring manager
Mm,
and where they see this person's interest and drive is.
okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think we also hear this a lot from other industries as well and other functions, whereby how do you get into that interest area when you have no experience. And across the board, the few key things that come up is you must show passion about what you want to
Yeah.
do. Yeah, you must show an
Yes.
interest to learn and grow, and also to be able to take on feedback as you grow as well. So yeah, so I think it's quite similar as well in the realm of marketing as well. Correct. Yeah, so other than the gorgeous world of marketing, right? So every area, every expertise will always have its pros and cons. So I would like to just touch a little bit about the negative perception of this industry or this function, you would say, right? Because marketing can be quite a long haul, I would say, right? You have marketing campaigns like the 10-10, 11-11, and you would be working, round the clock. Or if you have like a big launch for Chinese New Year or Deepavali or Christmas, right? So, and marketeers will normally work long hours there. So, what are your thoughts about that, and how would you advise job seekers to be better prepared for such situations?
Okay, so first and foremost, you need to do a lot of research or
Mm,
field work,
mm,
especially understanding your target audience,
ah,
your product, how do the consumers engage with your product or service. You
mm,
need to have at least this as a basic foundation before you embark on any form of brand campaign or
mm,
marketing campaigns, right?
yeah.
So very, very important to know your target segments, who you're talking to, what sort of tone do you need to talk to them. Get your homework done in that sense.
Mm,
Once you have that as your pillars, or as something that you can always refer back to, then you can run with whatever that you want to do in terms of like running a marketing campaign.
mm,
It can be a multi-layer marketing campaign where you have like 10, 15 things going out at the same time, right? But as long as your foundation is, or the objective of your marketing campaign is solid, you have no problem doing it whatsoever.
mm,
So on top of all that is also to be extra sensitive with the latest developments of trends or the environment that may or may not affect your marketing campaign. So I think this pandemic was a very, very good um, education for all marketers about how fast we need to pivot in order to constantly engage with our consumers. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
I love the fact that you brought up, one of the key things is really being engaged with your consumers. And to
Mm.
get engaged with your consumers is really doing the research behind it, etc. And I think this perception, right, that a marketing job is all about glitz and glam, right? So you see all the movies, right? It's
Yeah.
always, all the glitz and glam, like The Devil Wears Prada, etc. Um,
Yeah.
but people forget that there's so much research to do behind it. There's so much consumer insights. You're on the ground talking to consumers. You're with the salespeople, understanding what their solutions are, etc. And in view of that, what would be some non-negotiables for a marketeer in their scope of work or in their career? So, at the end of the day, it's something that they cannot compromise on.
Mm, I think that at the end of the day, personally for me,
Mm,
um, business goals and objectives are also very important.
yeah.
But equally important is how the consumer at the end of the day perceive us. So how you want to talk to the consumers, how you want to build that trust with the consumers. So that is something that no matter what we try to do, no matter what we try to roll out, at the end of the day is you get excited and you go like, oh, let's run with this idea or that idea, but at the end of the day, it's also equally important to take 5 minutes to stop, think, put yourself in the shoes of the consumer at how they will perceive your marketing campaign or how they perceive your brand, and then reverse engineer from there on what some of the solutions or what some troubleshooting or fine tuning that you need to make. So these are some of the things that even with my own team, I have a small team that supports me. So I always tell my team, like, at the end of the day, yes, it's very important that we need to help the business achieve the business goals, but it's also equally important that we need to ensure that our consumers, our customers, they're happy with our service. They have that trust in us, and that when they think about our brand, they don't go, yeah, Carsome. They'll go like, oh my God, Carsome. Yeah, they're really good. So these are some of the things that at the end of the day, we cannot compromise, which is having customer as the first and foremost, the people that we want to serve. Yeah.
Ah, all right. Yeah, so those are some non-negotiables, right? We always
Yeah.
think that it's a great creative idea and it will be implemented, but in actual fact, the heart of marketing is your consumers,
Yes.
right? Yeah, and going back to what you mentioned earlier, with the pandemic, right? It's a very, very famous question, and I would like to understand a little bit more. What are some of the shifts that you notice for marketeers during and after the pandemic? I know you mentioned certain areas where they had to pivot, but we would like to know more how the marketeers pivot in such a situation.
So we know that, the online environment has been around for many, many years, I think like 15, 20 years now. But the pickup rate,
Mm,
surprisingly, for during the pandemic, it just kind of like accelerated everybody's pickup on online, from my mother, my grandparents, they are like, they've always given me or given us the excuse like, oh, I'm old, all this technology, nah, not my thing. But suddenly with the pandemic, right,
yeah.
they have no choice. They have no choice. And this is where we see online pickup. There's more and more people going online because they cannot get out of the house.
Yeah.
There's only so much TV they can watch. Is the online world is just so seductive, with all sorts of information, all sorts of promotions, right? So a lot of people, pivot their attention. They started going online more. This is also where marketing starts, devoting more and more time and resources to talk to these potential customers, right?
Mm,
So it's not just about online per se, like more and more people are also getting on social media these days, right?
mm,
And at the end of the day, there's so many different types of social media. At the end of the day, it's like which social media is going to rule, the online world. There's no really one so-called social media.
yeah.
There's always going to be um, the debate about who. I'm not going to name names, name brands. So there's
Yeah.
always going to be a debate like, oh, this and that, A and
Yeah.
B, or F and I, or
Mm,
stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's not about jumping on the bandwagon just because everybody is using a particular social media doesn't mean that your target audience is in that particular social media. So
mm,
it's coming back to the basics at the end of the day. You can do whatever you want to do online, but at the end of the day, it's coming back to the basics, understanding your target segment, understanding how they consume their media online, and then planning on how you pivot. If you're mainly on one particular social media, there's one channel, but other than just that one particular social media, what other online platforms do they go to?
yeah.
And then that's how you follow that journey and target them accordingly.
Mm.
Mm.
Thank you for that those insights. I mean, it really helps for the job seekers out there to really sense which areas they need to build on and which areas they need to leverage on as well. So talking about job seekers, maybe this question I can direct to Camily. With the pandemic, how has job seekers stay relevant for especially in the application at Carsome?
How is seekers stay relevant
Mm-hmm.
for Carsome?
For
So we
Carsome.
are constantly always updating our career page. All our jobs are always advertised there. But and if you go to our Carsome page, you will hear a lot of stories and updates and relevant news.
Ah,
But besides that, um, there are also a lot of other job portals where we're advertising our roles. So as long as you Google Carsome, you would be able to come across these information, the latest updates of the roles that are current and active.
mm.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, that would really help our job seekers, right? So during the pandemic, right, the best way to look for jobs is to really do your research as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you will get the right one along the way. Now, very interesting to learn from Grace because you come from a vast experience there in marketing. Many have this question, right? Do I become a generalist in marketing, or do I become a specialist or an expert in marketing? What are your thoughts there a little bit, Grace?
I think it's just very, very important to understand your own skill set, what you're good at, what you like to do, what sort of target segment you like to engage with before deciding whether you want to be a generalist or a specialist. So, like mentioned earlier, marketing is so multi-pronged. There's so
Mm,
many verticals. You can be a specialist, you can be a communication specialist, you can be a performance marketing specialist, or you can be like me. As a regional marketing director, I will consider myself more as a generalist.
mm,
I know um, a bit of everything, jack of all trades sort of notion there. So I know enough of every pillar to be able to run a complete marketing campaign. And for me, it's really understanding what you like,
mm,
what you're comfortable with, how you want to grow yourself.
mm.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And it's really about your learning path, right? How you want
Yes,
to grow yourself. And there's no one way to success. There are so many roads and so many pathways
yes,
to
yes,
success. Yeah.
yes.
So talking about success, right? What would you say, how would a marketeer consider themselves a successful marketeer?
Um, I don't know about the rest of the marketeers,
Yeah.
but personally for me, um, it's hearing people talk about the brand that you've been so passionate about. So
Mm,
in my case, right, with my friends and families, or even going out, hearing people talk about like wanting to sell their used car, or wanting to buy a quality used car, right? And the first brand they thought of is like Carsome, without me having to like encourage them to remember the brand. That's the
okay.
first brand they remember.
Mm,
And for me, this is where I feel um, I've done a good job as a marketer, that
mm,
I've done enough to get people to remember us. Yeah,
mm. Okay, so that's top of mind, right?
yeah,
And on the flip side, right, I've heard before, right, marketeers saying, "Oh my God, I've committed career suicide by not having a successful campaign, or I failed in this campaign." So, what kind of advice would you give a upcoming marketeer who is not so successful in one or two of their campaigns?
Well, there's always going to be, when there's up, there's always going to be down.
Mm,
It's not always going to be a smooth journey.
mm,
So, you can wallow, you can go like, be upset about why your campaigns are not working. Set yourself some time to grieve for the marketing campaign that did not take off. But after you're done grieving, pick yourself up, start diving into what went wrong in the campaign. Look
mm,
at the data, look at the statistics, get some insights, get the learnings. What are some of the issues that you were facing? what could be done differently, and use this experience to apply to your next campaign to ensure that we do not make the same mistakes. So I think it's more about quickly turning around, quickly telling yourself that yes, admit that the campaign did not work, but how are you going to improve for your next campaign, rather than just sitting there and going and crying about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice, nice. And Camille, any advice there for marketeers who are not very successful, coming from a HR perspective?
Never stop, never give up. Always
Yes.
keep
Yeah.
challenging yourself and always keep trying.
Yes, yes, very nice, very nice. Exactly right, because like Grace said, there's always ups and downs, and when you are
Yeah.
down, the next road is just up, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
with this, right, would like to also check in with Camille again, especially on the learning and development pathways for a marketeer, right? So perhaps in your years in HR, how do companies, right, provide learning and development for their marketeers?
I think Carsome is one company that I've worked with that does this really well. So we
Okay.
have a training department itself. So we provide lots of training,
Mm,
and you can choose the kind of trainings that you want to attend.
mm,
With marketing itself, there's a wide range of training courses that you can attend. But not
mm,
just for marketing, we also have for all the other departments as well.
mm.
So it's Carsome is a company that we constantly push for you to learn and grow. So there's always training and courses for you to participate in.
Wonderful, wonderful. And just like in any other function, right? And you ladies have
Yes,
mentioned it many times, right? Learning is key, right?
yes, correct.
And being in trend, how do you be in trend is really through learning. Great, great.
Yep.
So one or two of my last questions would be to both of you lovely ladies to share with the viewers, especially those who are very interested in marketing, what would be your top three advice for them to be able to succeed as a successful marketeer in the future?
I go first.
Yeah, yeah, Grace, yeah, that would be lovely.
Okay. So have the courage to try new things. Do something that no one has done before. Really go out. Um, don't let fear hold you back. Um, Very important to think out of the box. Don't keep your mindset boxed up. Keep an open mind. And very important to have a positive mindset, because as long as you have positive thoughts, whatever is possible. Nothing is impossible.
Nice. And Camille, what about yourself? What would be your top
Like we
three
just
advice?
like we just mentioned again, it's learning is a continuous process, so never
Mm,
stop. Continue to learn. You There are many forms of learning. There are many forms that you can
yeah.
learn from. You can learn from people. You
Ah,
can learn from reading. So always keep that option open. And practice makes perfect, right? So always practice whatever you've learned, and also networking. So keep
ah,
connecting with people through other forms, whether it's social media, whether it's face to face, whether it's attending interviews, attending workshops, but always keep your network growing.
yeah, yes. And the pandemic was a blessing in disguise because, suddenly so many learning opportunities are available for everyone, right? You can see
Yes.
that there are marketing certifications that you can take across the board, and some of it is subsidized, some of it is free, and, it's just a wealth of information out there. Um, so we've kind of reached to the end of our conversation. I would like to thank you both, Grace and and Camily for spending the 45 minutes with us at JobStreet Virtual Career Fair webinar. It has been an honor to hear your insights and to gain a deeper understanding about the role in marketing as well as what marketing does in Carsome. And we hope that the viewers out there truly take away all the gems and the golden nuggets from this session. And for me personally, I love the fact that it's all not just about marketing, but how do you grow your marketing skills, right? So it's about learning, being in touch with the trend, networking, talking to people. And I encourage all the viewers out there, please be connected with our guests here if you have more questions. And of course, ride on the JobStreet Virtual Career Fair, where you will see much more information coming to you soon. So thank you very much, Grace. Thank you, Camille, and stay safe, everyone.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you,
us.
Shireen.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye
Shireen.
bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.